She danced and sang with them and made a lot of people laugh. But some of the biggest names in Hollywood really didn't like Annette Funicello. She was called Disney's pet by a famous star, who wouldn't talk to her off camera. Someone else told producers lies in their ear. Some people worked together against her in secret. Annabelle didn't say anything for years. She kept their names secret while they tried to hurt her. But she finally told the truth before she died. And even Walt Disney was shocked by it. Funicello was born in Utica, New York, on October 22, 1942. Virginia John Albano and Joseph Edward Funicello were happy to be Italian Americans, and they raised their daughter in a close-knit working-class neighborhood. Family was very important in that part of Utica. The streets were filled with the smell of garlic and fresh bread. Almost as many people spoke Italian as English. It was a simple life, but it was full of pride and love. Annette's strong sense of community shaped who she is today. Before she ever went on stage. When she was 4 years old, her folks packed up and moved west, ending up in the San Fernando Valley in California. They didn't want to be famous in Hollywood, they just wanted a better life. The move, however, was just the beginning of something much bigger. Annette was so shy that she could hardly speak up in public. Her mom signed her up for dance classes, hoping she'd feel better about herself. They weren't ready for Annette to take the stage so quickly. When she was in the spotlight, her quiet personality went away. The dance classes set off a spark that neither she nor her folks saw coming. That spark grew into a flame in December 1955. She did Swan Lake at the Starlight Bowl in Burbank when she was only 13 years old. It was just another concert. Until it wasn't. Walt Disney was sitting there quietly watching, but no one in the crowd knew it. He wasn't trying to find ballerinas. He was looking for kids who could become stars, and Annette stood out. Grace, charm, and something else he couldn't quite put his finger on. A few days later, she got a call that would never be the same again. He wanted her to be on his new TV show, The Mickey Mouse Club. The tests were really tough. In order to be one of the 24 Mouseketeers, more than 200 kids showed up. She wasn't the first person in line. She wasn't even third or second. She was the last person chosen. 24. But Disney felt something about her. He saw something that no one else did. She was more than just skilled. She was real. He knew that people would connect with her. She did great when he gave her a chance. It was worth $160 a week by the time she signed the 7-year deal. Some people make that much in a month. There was one catch to the deal, though. Her pay would go up quickly if she did a good job. She made $500 a week soon after. There are also royalties from merchandise, reruns, and public performances. And Funicello became a millionaire by the end. She was only 20 years old. What shocked Disney Studios the most, though, was what came next. There was a lot of fan mail, thousands of letters. She was getting between 6,000 and 8,000 letters a month by the end of the first season. It was a surprise to everyone. The other Mouseketeers weren't even close. Elizabeth Taylor was the only one who got more letters at that time. She was already a big star in movies. Ellen was called into Walt Disney's office one day. His face looked confused. Someone asked, "Do you have a lot of Italian relatives?" The woman told her no because she had too much mail for you. He said it was true. People from many places were drawn to her beauty. A lot of people in America, especially young boys, liked her. Some people sent her rings and watches. Basically making a proposal by mail. She sent all of them back. That picture of being good and honest wasn't an act. She was in more than just dance numbers now. Soon, she was in charge of whole shows. She played the lead role in Adventure in Dairyland in 1956, which was shot on a real farm in Verona, Wisconsin. It was both a story and a lesson. People loved seeing her engage with cows, farmers, and country life, which was very different from her Hollywood life. After that, she played a sweet, normal country girl in Spin and Marty. She became well known for these parts, and they weren't just TV hits. They were the basis for comics, books, and reruns that ran for decades. But all good things must come to an end. The Mickey Mouse Club's last show aired in 1958. The cast and crew hugged, said goodbye, and cried on set. Annette was the most upset. Afterward, she said, "I've never cried so hard in my life." A lot of the Mouseketeers were fired, but Annette was still kept on. Disney asked her to come back to his office. She thought she might lose her job. He gave her a new deal instead, this time for her own cereal. She was not being let go. She was being raised. There was a different story going on behind the scenes. It was a love story between two teens. During the first year of the show, Annette dated Lonnie Burr, who was also a Mouseketeer. He asked her to marry him at a party and she said yes, at least for a short time. Her dad didn't like it. He made her give the ring back right away. Still, they had one special moment together. Annette's first kiss was from Lonnie. That was something he didn't know until 1994, when her book told him. After many years, they got back together for a TV show called Lots of Luck. As adults, it was the only time two original Mouseketeers worked together. It was a sweet moment that showed that some childhood memories last forever, even in the tough world of Hollywood. Something strange happened in 1959. Annette Funicello, a bubbly teen girl, put out a song that made music history. It was only 1 minute and 38 seconds long. It was called Tall Paul, and it wasn't just a hit. It caused a big stir across the country. It got as high as number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 6 in Canada. Annette was the first woman to ever get a rock and roll song into the top 10 with that song. The Sherman Brothers and Bob Roberts wrote the song. A big break came from the same result. Dick Clark asked her to join his well-known Caravan of Stars show. From September to November 1959, she went on tour with Paul Anka, Duane Eddy, the Coasters, and other artists. It was her birthday on stage in Houston on October 21, so the tour stopped in the middle of the show. There were some rough spots, though. The crowd got loud some nights. Fights started. People were put in jail. Why not Annette? She kept singing. Her rise was so quick and strong that Walt Disney only hired the Sherman Brothers from then on. They would win an Oscar for Mary Poppins in the end. When Disney was 60, he tried something new. Italianette is the name of their new record. The idea was simple. Give Annette a package with an Italian theme. On the cover, she was shown snapping her fingers while dressed in a fun Italian way. The music also went with the idea. Odio Mio was the title track of the record that did the best. It was sexy, emotional, and different from anything else she had done. People liked the song because it made them feel like they were lying on velvet. More than 1 million copies were bought. The mood was also present in other songs on the record. Mi Amor, Mia Cara, Dream Boy, and Please Please Signore. A lot of them were written by the Sherman Brothers. There was more to it than just music. It was a full test of marketing. This record with Italian themes came between two others that made a clever trilogy. Hawaiianette came first, and Danceanette came after. Disney worked on making her look better little by little. Pineapple Princess came out in the summer of 1960 and worked again. It stayed on the Billboard lists for 9 weeks after it came out. It turned out to be her third biggest hit. The Sherman Brothers also wrote the song, and it was the album's main track. There was a strong tropical vibe to that song. Annette wore a dress with palm trees on it. Blue Hawaii, Song of the Islands, and Hukilau Song were on the list of songs. Just 12 songs made up the record, which was only 26 minutes long. It still made a big mark. Pineapple Princess was even advertised on a special pink label that came with some copies of the record. The song has been performed in many languages. A new version was made by the Hawaiian group Naleo Pilamahana in 1999. There was also a German cover called Anana Nana Nas Prinzessin. This song was played in the comedy Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar in 2021. It never really went away. Outside of the public eye, Walt Disney had a clear plan for Annette. He hoped she would become another Teresa Brewer. He had over 600 songs, and in the 1950s, odd hits like Music, Music, Music put him at the top of the charts. Disney looked up to her success and wanted to use the same methods she used. He thought Annette could do the same thing. But here's the catch. Annette didn't say which singer gave her sound. She gave credit to Tutti Camerata as her director. Annette Funicello met Paul Anka at a dinner when she was only 17. John Anka was 18. They clicked right away. A simple talk turned into something much more important. They couldn't be apart for a year. They talked on the phone for hours, sometimes up to 3 hours a night. They called more than 100 times over time. It was more than just a crush for two famous teens. He loved her very much. And told me she felt the same way. People thought they were too young and naive, but Annette wrote later, just because we were 17 didn't mean our love wasn't real. Hit songs were written about how strong the love was. In 1959, Paul wrote, "Put Your Head on My Shoulder." He also wrote Puppy Love the next year. He wrote that one because he had heard people laugh at their relationship by calling it puppy love. The song got to number 2 on the Billboard lists. He sang it to her on the phone too. They also made songs together. Paul sat down at the piano and told her, "Annette, think of the words and say what comes to mind, on one track. The music will go with it." It wasn't just love. It was a rare thing for two people so young to work together and be inspired. But Hollywood made it hard. Annette had a deal with Disney, and Disney was very strict. Paul had a clear memory of it. They always had an adult with them when they saw each other. Even going on a real date with her was against the rules. The people who work for Disney kept telling him, "Mr. Disney doesn't want you near her." They treated Annette like she was theirs. Paul had to sneak around to spend some time with her by himself. He once got a worker to play cards with Annette's mother to keep her attention off of him so he could sneak a kiss. The rules were not only annoying, they were making it impossible to breathe. Over time, the stress broke them down. They truly loved each other, but they were going separate ways. Paul, who is now 82 years old, told it like it was in an interview in 2024. She planned to marry him. It was impossible for me to do. He was afraid of committing to her, and he knew he couldn't meet her needs. Annette began dating Paul's agent, Jack Gilardi, soon after they broke up. They got married. After a year, Paul got married to someone else in Paris. The pain never really went away, even after everything. Paul was once told by Frankie Avalon that she did love him. Paul's answer was simple: "Well, I loved her." Her love life was changing, and her business was about to take off. Beach Party came out in cinemas on July 11, 1963. It did so well that it broke records. It got 48,000 reviews on its first day, or 226. It made $290,800 in its first week in just 30 screens. The movie made $1.2 million by the end of the year, but it only cost $800,000. The people in charge at American International Pictures were shocked. They thought the movie would make between $300,000 and $4 million. It was by far their biggest hit, and it helped start a whole genre. For hours, kids stood in line to see it. The theaters were full. And Beach Party got picked over well-known bands like The Byrds and The Nutty Professor. They were named Producers of the Year in September. Annette was a movie star, but her fame made people dislike her. Just before a national live show, her custom-made outfit was gone. She had to use an extra outfit that didn't fit. The people in the room could tell she was uncomfortable. It turned out that a co-worker who was angry about not getting the lead part had hidden the outfit on purpose. Annette never said anything bad. She didn't say anything. She thanked everyone. Behind the scenes, everyone knew what had happened, but she never named anyone. The anger was simmering just below the surface, and it didn't stop there. Producers wanted more beach movies as the trend grew. More skin makes you look better. They chose to change Annette's look. The next draft had dances, bikini scenes, and clothes that showed a lot of skin. She said no when she saw the changes. She thought it went against everything she stood for, and especially the fans who had been with her since the Mickey Mouse Club. The bosses were not pleased. They quickly got cold. They used someone else in the ads instead of her. They even hired another actor. Something had to be done to make things calm down. Annette didn't give up. At a time when young women were being asked all the time to sell their image, she said no. Because of her honesty, she became a target. Other actors were very angry behind the happy beach scenes. They thought Annette didn't need to try. She was always picked out, always praised, and always great. Everyone was annoyed by that beautiful picture, so they had to fight harder. It was more than just envy. That feeling was anger. Someone who was upset about losing hit Annette's outfit before the live show. Some people said that she only got parts because Disney loved her. She might have been, but that preference made her feel heavy. She had to protect the image that made her famous in the first place while others tried to get attention. She was only 22 years old when she fell in love with Jack Gilardi, her Hollywood agent, who was 12 years older than her. She had been a Disney child star and was now a full-fledged teen icon, with roles in hits like Babes in Toyland and the Beach Party series with Frankie Avalon. Gilardi wasn't just any agent. He was in charge of her career. In a quiet way, their work partnership turned into something more personal. They got married in January 1965. People responded right away and with strong feelings. In fact, Charles Schulz used Linus's sadness over Annette's wedding in his Peanuts comic strip, with the line, "I can't stand it. This is awful. That's so sad." Annette Funicello is now an adult. But beneath the surface of cartoon tears was a relationship with a lot of disturbing parts. Later, Annette said that Gilardi had called her Dolly, which was also her father's name for her. She thought it was cute at the time. It showed she still thought of herself as a girl and not yet a woman ready to get married. She told him that she still felt like a 16-year-old when they got married. Because she didn't want to fight or make him mad. In the end, she let Gilardi make all the important choices. Gina, Jack Jr., and Jason were their 3 children who were born together. But as the years went by, that quiet obedience turned into quiet pain. The more sure of herself she became, the more she felt stuck. She wasn't a partner in her marriage. It was an unfair deal that came about because of ignorance and an imbalance of power. Frankie Avalon was a bright spot in her life at this time. Their chemistry on screen had made a string of hit beach movies. But when they weren't working together, they became friends, which isn't often seen in show business. Being honest, reliable, and long-lasting. She made Avalon the godfather of her daughter Gina. He was more than just a name on a paper. He stayed close to the family for more than 30 years, even after the cameras stopped rolling. Their friendship grew stronger. Annette's first signs of multiple sclerosis showed up while she was shooting Back to the Beach in 1987. Frankie was there. He saw how things had changed. During her last years, when she couldn't talk, he kept in touch with her kids. A lot of Hollywood relationships end when the stars move on, but this one never did. The Funicello family was like family to Avalon, who has 8 children, and he was there for them until Annette died in 2013. Annette finally split up with Gilardi between 1981 and 1983, after being married for almost 18 years. No longer was she that good of a young wife. Even though it was painful, the split changed her life. She had grown. She knew how to speak up. They didn't take it to court like many famous couples did at the time, instead, they settled out of court. Even more important, she made sure her kids stayed close to their dad. She had some of the best years of her life as a single mother for 5 years. She helped out at St. Cyril's school and drove carpools. Finally, she found her voice. She said those years were when she became who she is now. Not scared of disagreements or living in the shadow of other people anymore. Glenn Holt then showed up. They met many years ago at the Hollywood Park racetrack, when she was a girl that was visiting her parents. Holt trained harness horses and had a fond memory of her. She went back to the track and reunited with him after her divorce. They were both in their 40s, separated, and ready to start a real life together. Their love story moved slowly. It began with friendship. They got married on May 3, 1986. Mickey Mouse showed up at the celebration and danced with the bride, a magical nod to her Disney days. It worked out for both of their families when they got married. Annette Funicello was 45 years old and having a business comeback in early 1987. She got back together with Frankie Avalon and was in Back to the Beach again. But something scary was going on behind the scenes. It was always making her feel dizzy. I had headaches all the time. The worst part was that she could hardly walk straight. Multiple sclerosis was the news that changed everything for her. She didn't tell anyone, she kept it to herself. Not even her family or friends. She kept it a secret for 5 long years. Her body was slowly shutting down while she smiled for the cameras and performed on stage. She was scared that people would think she was weak or broken. She didn't say anything when she tripped while recording. The woman they saw laughing and dancing was barely able to keep it together. It cost something to hide it, though. Somebody saw that something was wrong. She couldn't walk right. She didn't look steady. There were whispers. Was she drunk? Was she hiding that she drank too much? The news was full of rumors. The tabloids said she was just another child star who had lost it all and was drinking. Even though it wasn't true, the rumors kept going around. It was terrible for someone who had always been seen as America's sweetheart. She didn't say anything because she was afraid people would stop loving her. She didn't fix the lie, so she lived with the shame. She was fighting a sickness that takes away everything slowly. But everyone else thought she was just another tired Hollywood star. It hurt more when they talked about other people. It finally got too much. She chose to speak out in July 1992. She told the world the truth in a powerful interview on 2020. She had MS and had lived with it since 1987. Everyone was shocked by the news. A lot of people cried, said sorry, and listened. She said she didn't tell anyone because she didn't want her fans to be scared. There were too many whispers, though. Disney made her a Disney icon that same year. It seemed like the right time. Annette was no longer just a past Mouseketeer. A lot of people were afraid to talk about her sickness because she became its face. Being honest with others helped them come forward. She used her pain to do something. And she wasn't done yet. She set up the Annette Funicello Research Fund for Neurological Disorders in 1993. The name wasn't just on a piece of paper. It was her fight in public. She made sure that every dollar went to study. There are no salaries and no trash. That's all. The fund helped pay for new studies, worked with big groups, and focused on methods that could really make a difference. Glenn Holt, her husband, gave it all he had to help. He helped spread the word, raised money, and carried on the work even after she died. Families had hope because of the fund. It told doctors things. It also gave Annette's pain a reason. Glenn Holt was more than just a husband. He was what kept her alive. They got married in 1986, right before she started having symptoms. He took care of her, protected her, and spoke for her for the next 27 years. He changed as the illness got worse. Glenn made her a custom wheelchair out of a harness race seat when she could no longer walk in 2004. He still talked to her every day after she lost her speech in 2009. She had to have a food tube by that time. She had no control over anything. But Glenn never put her in a safe place. He took care of her, hired nurses, and fought for her honor. He even joined the board of her charity and helped set up campaigns to raise money. He did more than just take care of her body. He kept her spirit alive. The pain did not go away, though. Things went wrong again in March 2011. The fire broke out in their Encino home. Annette had lived in that house for almost 40 years. Along with Glenn and a nurse, she was inside when it began. Even though firefighters got there quickly, the damage was already done. The fire damaged the house too much to fix. She had to be taken to the hospital because she breathed in smoke. She made it. But the stress was very bad. The house where she used to raise her kids and have people over was gone. They got $714,250 for the body parts and left their old life behind. They moved to a small ranch outside of Bakersfield because they had nowhere else to go. Outside of Hollywood, it was quiet and in the country. The land was simple, but it was peaceful. Annette lived there for the last few years of her life. Instead of flashing lights, it was surrounded by fields. Every night and day, Glenn took care of her and made sure she was okay. It wasn't Disney at all, but it was safe. It was a secret. It let her be more than just the girl with the bow in her hair. She lost all of her voice in 2009. She could no longer speak a word. She used to sing Tall Paul and light up the Mickey Mouse Club. 77. She lost her voice, her ability to move, and even her ability to eat. She was in the last stage of her sickness. She could still blink. She was still able to hear. But contact was gone. In 2012, a Canadian show showed old footage of her that showed how much she had changed. Her face was still and her body was still. Shelley Fabrez, her friend, was in the episode. The girl who had once won America's heart was clearly heartbroken. She had become trapped in her own body. The fight was over on April 8, 2013. The choice to take Annette off of life support was made by her family at Mercy Southwest Hospital in Bakersfield. She had been 70 years old for sure. Gina, Jack Jr., and Jason, her children, were with her and holding her hands. Shelley Fabrez was also there. She had been asleep for a long time. Gina, her daughter, said in a soft voice, "She's dancing on her toes in heaven." People all over the country were broken-hearted. Lots of tributes came in. Disney CEO, Bob Iger, called her one of Walt Disney's biggest stars and praised her for being brave and kind while she was sick. He changed the name of Disney's Soundstage 1 to the Annette Funicello stage. It was the same place where she shot the Mickey Mouse Club in the 1950s. That commitment turned into her last home in the Disney world. Frankie Avalon was broken. He was her co-star in movies, her date to drive-in movies, and her friend for life. He found out through a text message from her daughter. It said she was gone. Over the years, Avalon had seen her slowly fade away, piece by piece. He said in a moving interview that she hadn't talked to anyone in years. Living that way was just awful. He told her a secret she didn't know. Annette was once told by Disney that she couldn't wear bikinis that showed her belly button. It was expected of her to be good even at the beach. Everyone loved that Annette. That was the Annette he lost. It seems even more important now that she won the Disney Legend Award in 1992. She was the first Mouseketeer to get the award, and she got it right before she told everyone she was sick. After a few months, she got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It seemed like everyone finally knew how much she had done. As Sharon Baird, another Mouseketeer, once said, she never changed from the kind person who cared so much about other people.